Star-Crossed covered the finale of the second season, but let's look at the finale of the first one. We begin in space as the League, minus Batman, are coming back from a mission, only for a flash of light to envelop them and Earth. Arriving on Earth, they find Metropolis looking extremely different and odd red and white flags with black symbols on them. The League gets attacked by some guards and ends up being rescued by Batman, who's now sporting some fancy armor-style batsuit. The League realise that something has happened to the time stream, and the only reason the other members of the League weren't affected was due to Green Lantern's ring. As on this Earth, the Axis forces won, but being led by a man called Vandal Savage. The League works their way into Vandal's lab and finds a time machine, explaining how Superman knew what it looked like during the episode Hereafter. The League realise Savage is the one who altered history and decide to put things right, having only 48 hours to do so before the portal closes. Though Batman stays behind, as if they fail, the regime will still exist. When the League arrives mid-battle, they're quick to see the problem and why the Allied forces are being pushed back.
It's just like those old documentaries.
Not quite.
Yeah, that'll do it. As the League dispatches the War Wheel, they find the electronics inside it are decades ahead of their time. The League splits up as Wonder Woman and Jean head off to Berlin to gather information, whilst the rest of the League stay behind to assist in any way they can. During their approach to Berlin, Wonder Woman meets an American spy, Steve Trevor, saving his life after he bails from a plane that was being shot down.
Oh. An angel. I must be in heaven.
He fills Wonder Woman and Jean in on his mission. The Germans are going to invade England and he's been sent in to find the date that it'll happen. Interestingly, they also learn that the current leader of the Germans is not who they expect.
Some genius named Vandal Savage. The High Command was so impressed they made him their new
Splitting up again, Wonder Woman goes to help Steve, whilst Jean continues to spy on the German command, finding oddly a laptop computer and... yeah, that's Hitler in a cryotube. Nothing weird about that. Though before Jean can do anything, he's captured by Savage. Meanwhile, the rest of the League are having their own issues, dropping back as the enemy overwhelms them. They lose John in the fighting and presume him dead. Later, after being chewed out by the Flash for leaving John behind, Hawkgirl and Superman fight a group of planes, and end up being assisted by the Blackhawks.
What country are you from?
We're not from any one country. Andre's from France, Hendrickson's from Holland, Olaf comes from Norway, and I'm Blackhawk from Poland.
All countries occupied by the Axis authorities.
We Blackhawks bow to no authority until our homelands are free again.
John, actually alive, ends up joining with a commando unit, a slight callback to his military origins, who is supposed to be destroying a hidden airfield. Jean is interrogated by Savage, who after some prompting reveals that he is not in fact from the future, something that would be brought up again during Hereafter.
I'm not from the future, but this is. 60 years from now it will be a child's toy, but today it's the most powerful weapon on Earth.
Where did you get it?
A gift to myself.
Greetings from the future.
You age gracefully.
You have no idea.
Apparently, the future Savage worked out that World War II was the best time for him to conquer the world. Though why not earlier is a little confusing, and how did the past Savage know how to work a laptop, which surely would run out of power at some point, but I digress. Seeing he'll get nothing from Jean, Savage has him tortured even further. Steve and Wonder Woman, meanwhile, wait for Steve's contact as she questions his motives.
You're a strange one, Steve Trevor. You have no special powers, yet you're willing to risk your life here. Aren't you afraid of dying?
Some things are worth dying for, Angel.
However, it's a trap as Steve's contact has been captured. Though, can you really call it a trap if this is what happens? Back with Jean, he escapes from the lab and destroys Savage's laptop, which infuriates him enough to move up the invasion. Though it's impossible while the communicator that Steve has is still missing. Steve and Wonder Woman go to rescue his contact, only for it to be another trap. Seriously, 2 traps in 1 episode? Too much there, people. The tanks destroy the building with the 3 inside as Wonder Woman sets up a trick, making the Germans think the communicator has been destroyed. With Superman, Hawkgirl and Flash, they destroy an Axis factory, but discover inside are jet engines, with Jean appearing to fill them in. Finally accessing the communicator, Steve and Wonder Woman learn the target is not in fact England, but America, leaving Wonder Woman no option but to head off to stop them. But not before this happens.
Wait. What if I never see you again?
Wish me luck.
Good luck, Angel.
John and his commando unit find the airfield and the huge jet plane being filled with soldiers and tanks, John taking a chance and making it onto the plane. The rest of the League take off to follow it, whilst Flash runs ahead to warn the American forces. John is able to sabotage the systems and slow the fleet of planes, but is captured and tortured, only being saved by the intervention of the League. Savage's ship powers up its jets and ends up going far too fast for the League, but the anti-aircraft guns make short work of it, thanks to the Flash's advanced warning. John and Savage fight, with John sensing he's on board, allowing Hawkgirl to save him before the plane crashes down, taking Savage with it. With Savage defeated and the rest of his planes decimated, the League heads off, whilst at German High Command they learn of the defeat.
But who will lead us, Herr General?
Who indeed?
The League make it back through the portal with a real Batman there to greet them. A short time later, we see Wonder Woman at what appears to be a nursing home.
Please keep your visit short. He tires easily.
Thank you. Steve?
Angel.
Ending the episode. This episode is great for how much it works to separate out the League and give them each a specific adventure that works well to their character. Unlike how any story should go, everything that happens connects all back up together again at the end so they can all meet. And while all this works, some bits do seem a little let down in terms of being given enough time. John has so little to do with the Commandos for the most part, though his role at the end is important. It would have been far more interesting if we hadn't known he was alive. Let us believe as the characters do, and then have him turn up during the episode, giving more time for others to develop, and a surprise for the audience. And while I do love the Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor subplot, as well as its bittersweet ending, I can't help but feel there was something that could have been explored more, possibly giving a little more time towards the end when Diana finds him. As just seeing him alone in a nursing home just seems like something is missing, like he did nothing after he came back but think about her. It would have been nice to see that he did have a full life after. Also, why was there no version of any of the other Justice League members? Especially since the idea of having an evil version of Superman would be interesting. Though, since they already have that with the Justice Lords episode, I guess they didn't need to do it twice. Flash is another one who has very little to do with things. He chews out Hawkgirl for leaving John behind, despite John telling her to. He saves some enemy workers from being killed during a bombing run, and warns the Americans. Really, it doesn't seem like he had much to do for the plot. Steve could have called in the Americans, as he was an American agent after all. And Hawkgirl could have beaten herself up about John leaving, despite saving lives in the process. And with the workers, all you need to do is show them fleeing or being grabbed by Superman instead. This is a constant issue that I find pops up with too many characters, and it happens a lot in this series. There's a lot of characters, but they don't get an equal share in time for plot or character moments, being relegated to support cast despite them being main characters. There were 2 other little issues, like Jean not being able to tell that John was still alive despite being psychic, and after we've seen Batman send a message to Jean in space through telepathy, you'd figure John would do that straight away. Following that up with the fact that Jean for some reason goes corporeal when spying, despite the fact he's in the middle of an enemy's base. I get the fact that stuff needs to happen, but why have someone do something that would make them vulnerable? And finally, the laptop that Savage has must have a friggin' long battery life, given there'd be likely nowhere for him to plug such a device in at that time. This episode is a great end to the first season, though possibly done better during Justice League Unlimited's run. However, this episode has had its Savage time, and ended up here at number 5. Hey people, and thanks for watching this video. If you want to see the next one of these a full day before anybody else, you can do that by supporting me on my Patreon page. However, if you're watching this on my Patreon page, then thanks for your support.